Hi, it's Lewis here from Ascension Dimension, here with Christina. We've been thinking about doing videos for quite some time, and you've been nagging me, really, haven't you?
Yes.
It's going to be our platform, our medium for communicating our various things that we're up to. Obviously, I've got my music. You've got all sorts of things that you're up to.
Things that I do, yeah.
And generally, the reason we started the channel was because we were going through this process of, the awakening gets used an awful lot, but just development, personal development, spiritual development, progression from the old paradigm to the new paradigm. I spent a lot of time putting in a lot of research, and we've both put in a lot of research for all sorts of things: alternative health, spirituality, crystals, energy, you name
lots of different ways to go. I mean, everyone gets called in a different direction or pulled in a different direction. It's just that you start uncovering things and you're like, oh well, what's this and what's that, and it's just lots of new information that's actually been there for hundreds of thousands of years but has never entered into your world or your realm, so to speak. So
you're going really deep already.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Sorry. It's just who I am.
Anyway, so we've got a not really unique, but maybe potentially quite unique in the fact that we've both really accelerated our awakening journey, our development journey, at very similar times, and in the same direction. We've seen lots of people that they don't go the same direction, and that must be very difficult. But obviously, there's reasons for that. So we just wanted to start sharing the various things that we've been through, and if it can help save some time for anyone. I'm really good at connecting together lots of dots, like hundreds of thousands of different data points, and putting them together. When I was on Turn the Page with Janine's show recently, it's just fantastic for me. It's just all this information and all these other people that know so much information about what's going on. And I really, really love that. Hopefully I've got an interesting, very optimistic my very optimistic take on what's been going on, what may happen. And if I can transmit some of that optimism, not just through my music, but maybe through some of these videos, then that's great, because it is a fantastic time to be alive. And
it is. It's an amazing time to be alive, and what we've been going through. And at the beginning, it was quite daunting. It was like, what is going on? And we're 2 years into this. Some of us have been waking up for a lot longer and are aware of certain aspects well before. But I suppose the awakening or the journey of self-improvement really kicked in 2 years ago. But there'll be a lot of people that it will start for them now, or they've only just diving into all this into this new information side of things. So it's...
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason why there's a lot of these. I think that there's a lot of white hat control going on. There's a lot of power being exercised at the moment, and a lot of situations that are causing people to delve into the internet where they might not normally go on the internet, specifically to look for things like, why is the price of XYZ going up? What's happening in Ukraine? And all it takes is just one little stumbling into a rabbit hole, and straight away, that if they've got their wits about them, and they're starting to discern the difference between the mainstream narrative and what's really going on. You've got the mainstream narrative and the counter narrative, and then what's really going on. So there's a lot of these things that are causing people to stumble into the internet, and hopefully to the alternative news or the alternative sources of information. And I think as the mainstream is becoming more and more caustic and vile and acidic with its portrayal of its version of events. I think that's really turning people off and getting people to look at other things like Telegram, but which is also a bit of a trap sometimes.
I don't like Telegram.
I don't look at it really very, very, very little anymore, but it's good to kind of.
But then I don't really like any of the social media for looking for news. It will get sent, but personally, that's just I'm not very technically guided, so Telegram I find very confusing. So the idea is to document our journey and tell you what we've been through from our perspective, and if that can help you shine a light on anything that you might be going through, then.
So let's start at the beginning.
Let's start at the beginning.
When we talk, so what this is about waking up, and when we woke up. Now, are you talking about woke up like from the very beginning, or are you talking about the latest stage of woke up?
I think the kind of life that you and I have both led from before. We were aware of the system in the world was corrupt and manipulated, but I don't think we quite realised how deep the rabbit hole went. You've had a lot of experience in some area. Personally, I had a lot of experience in another area, but I think we should just take it from 2 years ago, from when this mystery.
I don't know. No, I think you've got to go back a little bit.
Okay.
Because if you already know that governments are up to sneaky stuff, like that's putting it mildly. Right. If you already know, if you have a healthy distrust of the power structure, then when they start pulling shit like this, like the whole thing that we probably can't even mention.
I think it's
the thing that happened 2 years ago. The thing that happened 2 years ago that had everyone in their homes, etc.
Okay, so if we go.
I was already very suspicious, and I thought, oh, here we go. There's something. They're pulling something.
Because we didn't even know where it had come from, did we? We were been away, and all of a sudden they shut the schools on us. We were like,
yeah, and we're
what?
Just
why are you closing the schools? What's happening?
Yeah.
I'll go further back then. I've always been kind of aware to the system because of my lifestyle, how I was brought up and stuff. But I guess 9/11 was a massive change, and that's when I completely stopped reading newspapers and watching the news, because that was when I realised how manipulating that particular the mainstream media was, and how they controlled the narrative. So I think that's where I saw that come to light.
Yeah.
That was a big thing. And then obviously everything that came behind that, I was always very aware of it, especially because my nan lived in New York at the time of that. So it was both an emotional time, and it was all part of waking up. But I'd already realised that the system was very corrupt, and the poor stay poor and the rich get rich, and that's kind of how it went. But I never dive too deep into it. I just sort of flow with my life, and I was very trying to just run away from my own issues and problems and not deal with what's going on in the world. I think that sums that one up for me. How about you?
Okay. Yes, very similar with the thing that happened in September on the 11th day back in 2001. And not immediately at the time. I mean, I saw it happen. I remember where I was. I was at work. I worked at one of the first internet companies in the UK, actually, and I remember seeing everything on happening on the BBC News website. And a few years later, it all came out. Well, I saw a documentary, and it was the Loose Change documentary, and it was like, wow, the level. Well, there were so many holes, and to me, I'd seen enough. You get to this point where you've seen enough, and obviously, my discernment was ringing true. It was like, well, yeah, this is right. Okay, what I'm watching is right. And having worked on the internet for so long, you know, I've been quite good at finding out things. So then when this thing happened 2 years ago, well, I've been down a dark rabbit hole in 2017.
I remember that
because that was pretty heavy, and I'm really hoping that a lot of that stuff now is getting sorted out.
We had to pull you out of that one.
But that was really bad. That was really bad, yeah, because like, you know, we've got kids, and if you know anything about the pizza thing, you know, a lot of people say, "Oh, that's been debunked," but I spent a lot of time looking at it, and it was horrific. And you know, having just, you know, got a couple of young children, and you think, what on earth is going on? And that was heavy. So that was when we really thought, well, this is really bad. Like, and it destroyed our vision of the world. I mean, we knew that there was corruption and bad stuff going on, but we couldn't really make too much sense of it. But when you start to notice about the number of like people going missing and stuff, and like what's happening, that was really I was very, very distraught, and it kind of blew up. I was in a dark place, and I had to come out of it.
Yeah, we had to pull him out. We had to. It was kind of like an intervention, because even though we saw that it was truth, I say we because I didn't do it on my own. There was a couple of friends involved, but luckily you saw it, because we want to live in a positive light, and I'd like this channel to stay in a positive light as well. Considering all the darkness that's going on in the world, but just so you know, we're not going to be all doom and gloom all the way, but this is kind of like, we've always been very aware of what was going on, and something, we're not like, we're not your normal go to work and the money, come home, carry on your life. We've always been very different. Alternative.
in how we
live and how we do things and how we go around finding our information. We've always been very good at researching, both of us. Maybe Lewis quite a lot more than me, because I've always been told to only ask the questions that I really need to know, and it's just like a guidance. And sometimes I just don't ask.
But that's the bad thing, is that when you're finding out some of this more difficult to take information, you've got the fact that it's really heavy in itself, plus everyone thinks you're mental. Like, everyone thinks that you're just nuts at the same time. And you know, from my perspective, I'm just trying to exhibit some compassion for these innocents, and the level of what's the word, just what, you know, well, it doesn't happen to me, so I'm all right. And it's not happening. And I know it's a lot of it is far too difficult for a lot of people to process, but that was shocking for me. And it's this level of apathy and well, you know, well, we're all right, so we won't do anything. That was hard to deal with.
I think the amount of people that were just not willing to see or hear anything other than the narrative they were fed was a bit shocking to me as well. It's like not willing to look at anything other than, well, that can't be true.
Yeah, and it's so quick to funny enough, this is on a video that Catherine Edwards and Bryce, they're talking about the conspiracy, junk conspiracy, the catch-all phrase.
Okay, yeah.
Like, oh, well, that's just another one of those things. Oh, it's just another one of those. Oh, stop spending your time looking at those.
Yeah.
As soon as anything that goes counter to the narrative, oh, it's just that. I mean, you know, very, very, very close people to me. Oh, stop. That's just you and your crazy conspiracy. You know, up to here, you know, it's just like, really? Come on. But that's just what we've been dealing with, and whether it's cognitive dissonance or just inability to process that information, or unwillingness to look.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're maybe going a bit off topic.
We are going a little bit off topic, but anyway, the idea was that we've both been very aware of what was going on in the world. This thing hit. And Lewis tried really hard not to go down any rabbit holes. He was like, no, we've got to earn money and save the family. You know, we've got to be okay.
Well, I was drinking heavily.
Yeah, we were both drinking very heavily,
and even worse because the whole
we were locked in.
lockdown, and that was, it was even
couldn't go anywhere.
So I try not to look at the conspiracy Reddits and all that kind of stuff, and then all of a sudden, you know, or at the end of the night, I'd be like, oh, I've just got to have a look at it. You know, and I knew it would be bad, and it's bad, and like the truth, the narrative of what was going on at the time was horrendous. It's like, and I think it was necessary to go through that stage of awakening to what was really going on. You know, all the Agenda 21 and the WHO, WEF, Klaus Schwab, etc., all these, you know, evil billionaires.
Yeah.
Georgia Guidestones, etc. So when you're there finding that stuff out at the time when there's this thing that looks like it's a depopulation event occurring, it's pretty scary.
I think the hardest pill for most people to swallow is to realise that absolutely everything that we've been told and lived through, especially if you're a very functioning member of society and you go to work and pay the bills and you've got the life, you've got the dream, that all of that is just fake, it's not real. And we're doing it to hide everything else that's going on behind the scenes. And I think that was the biggest shattering effect, and that's why most people move into, that can't be true. So the levels of how far you want to go down there and how much you want to know just depend on how much you can handle. But the fact that if you are awakening to it, you don't need to look at all the rabbit holes and understand how it all works. I mean, I've got friends that know that what's happening right now in the world doesn't seem right, or that there's something completely wrong about it, but there's no way that they can believe that there's like 2 or 3 families that are controlling the world. They just can't grasp all of that information. It's just too difficult. And the way we've been brought up, it's understanding. It is really understanding. But yeah, we are living through...
it's understandable.
It's understandable, yes. No, I have.
We were doing verbs earlier.
We were doing verbs, so I get lost with
if it's got an ing on the end, it's a verb.
Yeah.
But we can use the able one as well.
So I'm in verb mode. So yeah, I suppose the message we want to get across is that there's lots of different stages to it, but you have to see, sometimes we have to, not sometimes, it's inevitable, you must see the dark to realise that there is light, and from the light does come the dark. They come hand in hand together, but it's not all doom and gloom. The world is a beautiful place, and there is so much amazing stuff going on and happening, as opposed to just this thing that's coming out of the TV mainly, because I don't think it comes out of anywhere else. The TV, the radio stations maybe, and a little bit in the newspapers.
Right, so when this whole thing kicked off, I was trying to earn my way out of the danger.
Well, yeah, because we had literally just finished building 2 villas, which we were turning into our luxury rental business, and it was supposed to kick off 2020 because the build was a year late, 6 months late.
Yeah, so
6 months to a year late. So we were all relaxed because our bookings were coming in, and that was, our life was, we were going to be okay. And then the lockdown happened, and we realised that our financial stability for the future was not going to be okay.
Yeah. So I went into panic mode, started looking at how to learn to trade Forex and all this kind of stuff, and I was very, very dedicated. But it's really, really hard. It's really very hard. And
I became a teacher because we had the kids at home.
Yeah.
So
but then I realised that it was because it was so global. Unless you're like the super elite, it was going to be impossible to earn our way out of it. So and when they started messing around with the kids and putting the masks on the kids, then I realised, okay, I've got to get involved. I've got to look at what's really happening here.
Yeah, I went into... I started suffering from anxiety, which I didn't realise I suffered from to the extent that it hit me off when the kids had to go back to school, and the thing was, I couldn't even take them to the. I couldn't take it. It was just, I couldn't do it. It was horrible. I was on the floor in like shaking because it just overwhelmed me so much. And I suppose it was my subconscious or my higher power, whichever way you want to look at it, warning me that I was right, that there was something really, really wrong about it. So that was when we I suppose before that we were just trying to just get on with it and get by, and we knew what was going on, but our whole social circle was falling apart around us because everyone thought we were completely crazy. And it's not a nice thing for everyone to tell you you're completely crazy, and it takes quite a lot of guts to just keep going and say, well, you know what, I'm okay. Yeah, we had to walk away from that one.
I mean, this is I suppose what we're doing now, standing in your power, and we just know eventually there's going to be this time where we will be vindicated, and that's not the most important thing for us, don't get me wrong. It will be nice to be vindicated, but we know that we're going to need to be there to support people that will, because we were outspoken and we were very steadfast in our beliefs and where that's drawn the line, where we've crossed the line, or where the powers that be have crossed the line, and we won't accept that. And when people were saying, well, what are you going to, well, what can you do about it? And, well, we did stuff about it.
We did,
we've seeked out people. We joined the team. Trying to get involved in things to make, to become the change you want to see in the world. And that's just grown from strength to strength.
I think what we had to do was, after we realised, like we wanted to change the world and help the world heal, it's like, we can't do that. We can't. It's not our job to fix anybody else. It's our job to fix ourselves. I suppose sobriety helped a lot with that, because working your steps and learning all that kind of stuff, as well as the spiritual growth. But I think we realised that what's the most important to us was our family and where we live. And start within your own, was it square metre, or clean your own house, or I don't know, there's lots of different sayings. I'm not very good at them, too many languages, ruined my brain with those sayings. But so we decided that we wanted to get involved in our level where we live here. And that was the choice. We thought that, right, what can we do where we are and how can we get involved? So that's what we've been trying to do, and we will continue to do, helping out with the information, knowing the languages. I think that's where what most people look for is like, well, how can I help? What can I do? Well, the first thing you can do is just work on yourself and get right with yourself, so that you know that you're not going crazy. You're not losing the plot. That it is all real. I suppose. Did I get off topic there?
No, not at all. Okay, so we saw that there was this thing happening. We started doing lots of research. I mean, I was putting in 10 hours a day, and different rabbit holes. Some are more fruitious. Is that the right word? Some rabbit holes were worth going down, and so others less so. But ultimately, coming to the conclusion that pretty much everything is a lie. Where we are, who we are, where we came from. Everything about the medical industry, the financial industry, or like anything that's like systematized is not for our benefit. And when you get your head around that, then that's a great place to start. So with that realization, lots of things, I guess, becoming receptive, you've got to be receptive to new information. And once you share that receptiveness with the universe and say, well, I'm ready for new information, these things will kind of pop into your consciousness. And things like Qigong was one of the recent ones. And I'd never looked at it. I've heard of Tai Chi, but then Qigong, well, what's that? Oh, that looks pretty good. And it just sort of felt like, oh, this is something that I should probably do.
He likes
you know,
the qigong.
and just things will just start to pop into your consciousness, and it's about that receptiveness, and you don't have to follow everything, but just if certain things might call to you, they might activate your superpower. You never know. You might be like a super crystal person, or you might be good at the tarot cards or whatever. But like, there's so many different ways of.
There might be things that you've always wanted to try and you've never done because there's a voice in your head saying, "Oh, don't be silly. That's just stupid," or "You can't do that." Which the voice is wrong to start off with. It's programming that we get from when I don't know where we get it from. I think quite a lot of us in the population have that from our upbringing somewhere, that at some point we're told that we can do anything that we dream of and we can be anything, and then you lose all that beautiful spark and become an adult, and you've got to go and earn the money, you've got to pay the rent, you've got to pay the electricity, you've got to pay your taxes, you've got to do this, and then it's like and if you don't become depressed, then you're an amazing person, just a strong person, just being able to deal with all of that. So once you become awake and don't listen to that voice. Don't listen to that voice that's saying don't do that. Just give it a try. If it's something you've always wanted to do, there's no harm in trying it. I'd say is what I'd like to say. Sorry.
Okay.
I had that for a long time. Like.
So how would you put that in terms of in relation to waking up, which is what we're trying to.
Yeah. Okay. So, in relation to waking up, I noticed there was a lot of things. So, personally, for me, I've always, when I was a kid, I used to love writing. I used to write little poems, I used to like writing little stories, I used to like writing, and somewhere along the lines when I was growing up I was told that I'm no good at it, or for some reason I assumed that I was no good at it and it was stupid and I should forget that. So while I've been waking up, I've been, I don't know if you call it channeling, downloading, or inspired to pick up my pen and start doing that again. And that little voice comes into my head saying, "Oh, you're no good at it," but it doesn't matter. I'm doing it because it makes me feel good. I like it, and it gives me some kind of comfort. It's not that I have to do anything in particular with it. The fact that I'm doing it for myself is what counts. I think that's
okay. Good.
That makes more sense that way.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's cool. Same thing with me and the music. I mean, I've had this. I've been playing guitar for 20 years. 20 years. No, 25, 26 years. But when I realised the world wasn't what I thought it was, I kind of stopped. I left the music a lot. I didn't really write anything. But then when I started to get an idea as to what I think was going on in the world in a more positive light, and then I had this kind of nagging voice in my head, a positive one, but saying, you want to don't let your love go unheard. And there was this song by Travis, funny enough, and there's a song called "Sing," and it was, "If you sing, 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 otherwise your love won't mean a thing." And it just kind of resonated with me, and it was like I was being spoken to. So I wanted to start with the music again and get my optimism out to the world, even though I was very rusty on the production side of things, and I might revisit some of that, especially because I got my laptop stolen, so I've lost the masters anyway. But yeah, it's if you've got this little niggling voice, I think we're starting to be able to manifest things a lot faster as well now. And when you get into the realms of the controllers and the negativity holding us back and keeping us in these repetitive loops and things like that, a lot of the stuff that's been causing these negative cycles of repeating patterns, I think a lot of that's been dealt with on higher dimensional terms. So what I mean, you don't need to know that, but
no, I think
but what I mean is we can tap into making things happen faster now. So if you've heard about the power of manifestation and the law of attraction, sorry, is what I was thinking of. All these things we're really becoming a lot more powerful at doing that. Look at Joe Dispenza, Meditations, read the book, Becoming Supernatural. That's really worth looking at.
There's a lot of positive affirmation stuff happening all around us, and I think it's been happening constantly for many years, but once you allow it into your world, into your realm, you see it more and more everywhere around you. So if you're just waking up, if you're the only one in your family, if whatever, just know that you're not alone. There's a lot more of us, and that there is a lot of positive stuff going on that's there to feed those our inquisitive, hungry minds. And the way to move forward is to stay open to everything that's coming, I think.
Yeah. Anything else you want to cover?
No, I think that's all we want to say this one. This one's gone on a little bit longer. We want to keep these in like bite-size episodes. We've
really?
Gone on for quite a while.
Bite-size?
Yeah.
You never told me bite-size.
I did say bite-size. Did not get the memo.
Okay, so that's...
It's more about you, Joe. We're going to tell you how we've gone through it. We've got a lot of stuff to cover over the next few ones of these that we do, and what's coming out in the world.
But so that's kind of how we woke up. That's a bit of our background.
Yeah.
Kind of gives you a bit of an idea as to sort of what makes us tick. And yeah, we'll continue through that. If you've got any messages or comments, or if you've got any questions, how about that?
Yeah,
if you've got any
questions,
hit us up in the comments underneath. Let's if you want to subscribe, great, please do so, and hit the bell icon. Apparently that helps the algorithm. Maybe have a listen to the songs on the site, on the YouTube channel if you like.
And there will be more coming because he's getting the guitar out more.
Yeah.
It's just he's his own worst critic.
And this is now, I've even got to the point where I've started to write down things I want to accomplish on a daily basis. And man, my productivity is going through the roof compared to how I was before. Physical stuff like doing my press-ups and my squats and my plank, as well as the stuff like meditation, breathing, Wim Hof breathing, etc., etc. So really worthwhile doing.
We want to go dive into the things that keep us sane throughout our day-to-day and all the little things that we do in other episodes.
In another episode. Okay.
Yep.
All right, so that's it. We'll wrap it up. That's how we woke up, and
that's how we woke up, and that's how we think about things for now.
yeah. So we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.